Welcome to the Society of Cryptid Hunters podcast. Josh and David are just two regular guys who share a passion for cryptids and our world's weird and unknown things. Please follow us on your favorite podcast platform and consider supporting us by subscribing or liking our show. Join us on our journey as we delve into the world of cryptozoology.
All right, Josh. How you been?
I am doing great, David. How are you?
Really great. It's been a while, like several weeks for me.
You know,
Um
yeah, those things happen when you have jobs and family and you're not being paid to do a podcast. You kind of have to make things happen. And plus, we don't want to put out stuff, just to put it out there. We got to do our due diligence, do our research. And I think we've been talking about this episode for a couple months now. So pretty excited to get into it when we do.
yeah, and I know everybody gets so nauseated with when they watch YouTube and Rumble or whatever, but please like and subscribe. Like we are all self-funded. Like it helps the algorithm get us reached. And from what I found out, like you have to pay like YouTube or Rumble to get your reach farther, which is really stupid, and I don't like that overlord ideal. So like and subscribe, please, right now, so that we can get away from these overlords.
But yeah. Well, we would like you to to welcome you to the Society of Cryptid Hunters, the podcast where we talk about cryptozoology and amongst other crazy things. Sometimes we talk about UFOs, UAPs, what have you. Man, we have a lot to get into today, and I can't wait to get started. But David, let me tell you, this episode that we're talking about today, I know we were going to talk about it on Halloween, and this is coming out past Halloween, but you know what?
Life
Spooky season
happens.
just lasted a little bit longer. So when you listen to this episode, folks, some of you may have heard this story, some of you may have not. But
I
if
had
it's your
no
first
idea
time,
this happened.
yeah, you didn't know. Okay, good.
Yeah, yeah. So I actually, you might, because we've been talking about this forever, but I had to send you an article. I was like, is this what you're talking about? Um, because I had never heard of this ever. I've been to Tennessee once in my life. I don't know if I've ever been to Kentucky. I don't remember. And if it was, I was like really young. But I did a bunch of research on this, obviously, but I had no idea any of this existed. I didn't never heard this before. And wow, this is wild. So so what are
So
we doing?
what David is getting into, folks, is that we're talking about the land between the lakes, which is an area that is full of history and is located in western Kentucky and Tennessee. It was created by the Tennessee Valley Authority in the 1960s, and it's so the TVA or Texas Valley Authority, whatever you want to call them. We'll call them TVA because it's easier. Everybody loves acronyms anyway. They built the Kentucky Dam on the Tennessee River in 1944, and they created Kentucky Lake. And later, they constructed the Barkley Dam on the Cumberland River, formerly Lake Barkley. So this became known as the Land of the Lakes. So the primary goal of this area, and this is before we get to our fun part of the story. So the primary goal of this area was that land between the lakes was to control flooding, generate electricity, and provide recreational opportunities. So it spans about 170,000 acres, offers a variety of outdoor activities, hiking, camping, fishing, wildlife viewing. My kind of place. Love to go there to hang out. Absolutely. But when this happened, this displaced many families that lived in the area for a lot of generations. So the history has led to ongoing discussion about the impact on those communities and, did this really do good, more harm than good? But yeah, it's that's kind of what the situation is. But let me get into something else about the Land of the Lakes, David. There's a local legend that's about the Land of the Lakes. It's about a beast that lives in the area. A supposed werewolf-like creature that has been part of local folklore for decades. Now, there's not been any evidence at all, of course, with most of these things about the creature, and it's just the area gives a lot of mystique to it. But we'll go into specific eyewitness descriptions and stories in just a bit. But But let me just say that this beast of the land of the lakes is a legendary creature that has intrigued and frightened locals and visitors alike for decades. So let's get into some of those descriptions, shall we? Shall we? Some of the stories. Because if you want to, if we would have got this out in time for Halloween, folks, this would be the one you would take to your friends and sit around the campfire, take that dude's guitar and smash it over a rock because we don't want to hear no songs. We want to talk scary stories. So I don't know why I just thought about Animal House right now, but
Animal
rest in
House? Did
peace.
you just say Animal House?
I said Animal House. Do you not remember the scene where John Belushi takes the guy's guitar and smashes it?
I don't. I actually don't think that movie's that good, but whatever. Anyway.
Mm. Put that right up there with Goonies. Come
Yeah.
on, man.
Well, I mean, whatever. It's a completely different
Jeez. Let's
conversation.
let's not segue. Um, let's talk about the
Anyway,
description. So this beast is often described as a creature resembling our favorite bipedal cryptid, the Bigfoot.
right,
But it has wolf-like features, which makes it a little bit
right.
different. 7 feet tall, glowing red eyes, sharp claws, and a terrifying howl, is from what I heard. So there are some Native American legends with the beast of the land of the lakes. Some suggest that the beast is a shape-shifting creature from Native American folklore,
Hmm.
and it adds the historical and cultural dimension to the legend, so meaning that this is something that could have been going on for generations, which is always
Right.
intriguing. Then there's and I'm going to say the best for last because this is the story that I really want to get into, but not just yet. But the modern encounters in media, there's no concrete evidence, but they still people still report things. The media picks it up, talks about it. There's a lot of interest, and it's been growing over the years too, from my understanding. But I want to get into one story here, and this is the Young family incident.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
this is a very chilling story. I think out of all the cryptids we talked about, this is one where it's really whether the incident is true or false, however it was based, but this is something that was definitely documented and put out there. So they were this is and I have the full in-depth story, but I'll just give you a quick rundown of what happened. So in the late 70s or early 80s, around that time, according to legend, the family was they're out in their RV camping in the Land Lakes recreational area. And according to legend, the family was found brutally torn apart, with one child's remains discovered in a tree. Now that's kind of the gist of it. But let me give you the full story. In the late 70s and 1980s, the young family, consisting of a father, mother, and 2 children, decided to spend a weekend camping in the land between the lakes. Parked their RV in a secluded area, hoping to enjoy the natural beauty and tranquility of the region. Now, I don't know if you've looked up the pictures online of the place, but it actually
I
looks
have,
really
yeah.
nice. Yeah, I'd love
I
to
want
visit
to
it.
fish there.
I would, yes. Those
I
look
also
very
don't want to get
nice.
eaten by a dogman either, though, while I'm
Yeah, no, that's
fishing.
true. That's true. But according to the legend of the young family, on one night, they were brutally attacked by the creature, described as a werewolf-like beast. The father was reportedly found outside the RV, severely mauled. The mother and one of the children were discovered inside the RV, also brutally attacked. The most horrifying detail of the story is that the remains of the other child were found high up in a tree, suggesting the creature had extraordinarily strength and ferocity. Now, the bodies were allegedly discovered by a group of campers, of course, who stumbled upon the scene the next morning. They reported to the authorities of the incident, but by the time the law enforcement arrived, there was little evidence to explain what had even happened. So the story, of course, quickly spread, becoming part of local lore and adding to the mystique of the beast of the land between the lakes. So while the young family story is compelling and terrifying at the same time, adds to the legend. It's important that you have to have some level of skepticism with this because there are no official records of any, I guess, animal attacks, I guess, in the whole process. But the story has been passed down through time in the late 70s, early 80s to now. We're in 2024 and it's still being shared. So whether you agree with this or not, it is very powerful with the story of this creature that I don't know if we've actually found any every average actually talked about any cryptid that has physically attacked and
Right.
killed people to this level.
I thought the same thing when I was researching this. I was like, well, there's like some proof that there's actually murders going on with this. Which I mean, we could get into it later, but I read all over the internet, which I hate that. I'm about to say this, but there's like a lot of skeptics that believe that like that there wasn't a family at all, and like the whole story was fabricated. But there's also a bunch of people that think that the local government got rid of like all of it so that they wouldn't be a media frenzy about it, about what happened, which also like the whole thing made me mad when I was reading it because like let's say it's true. Let's say they really did die. Like and the fact that they hid that happened, that's ridiculous. And that is it's terrible for their families. But let's say it didn't happen, and it's just a bunch of people saying stories about people actually dying and being mutilated. That's just as bad too. Like you're manipulating a story saying that people literally got murdered when they didn't, or they did. Like that's what's so crazy about this whole story. Like the more I read into it, like I mean, this is actual death accounts.
Mhm, mhm. Absolutely. And there's also been other stories too where the creature or the beast, whatever, however you want to call it, that actually followed people that lived in the area, followed them to their home, and never really broke into their homes or anything, but definitely um,
Well,
you can
there's
hear the
one I
growling,
read that
see the creature. There's been more eyewitness reports of this thing.
there's one I
So,
read where they they heard a snarling outside and sniffing, very loud sniffing, and then their window was broken and they went and whatever. But yeah, like there's really you're absolutely right. It's not that much of an account.
yeah. But but being that it is the Halloween season is finally at its end, and the story is like definitely deeper into the lore of something that it's not mainstream. I know we had our Jersey Devil episode posted recently, and that's more of one that's mainstream and kind of poke fun at it a little bit. You know, horse head what? Born on the what?
I would say
You
it's one
know,
of our to shed light on it, that was one of our funnier episodes actually.
yeah, especially when I can't differentiate acres and miles. So whatever.
I thought that was really funny actually.
I, dude,
Quite a difference
I'm
between the
like,
two.
did I really just say there's a million acres or a million miles around this place? See, I still can't even get it right. But you know what I
Uh,
mean?
but but let me get into a little bit about like what I was reading about the lore on the side of it. So there's European trappers were in America, and they allegedly in the area before it was, designated as a national park. They said they would see shadow figures, which
Mm,
shadow figures I've talked about before, and like I don't really understand it. There's a whole lot of different depictions of shadow figures.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
some people say the Men in Black are shadow figures. Some people say that aliens are shadow figures. Some
Like
people
the
think
Miami Mall.
the Miami Mall. Some people think that Bigfoot is a shadow. Like it's almost like a term for like I don't know what it is, so it's a shadow figure, whatever.
Right, right.
So these allegedly these European trappers also saw lights overhead. I know what you're thinking, Weimer. What I'm about to say.
Mm,
They saw aliens overhead.
mm,
I don't know if they
yeah.
did or not, but there was not. I was just joking. There actually was no. It was not descriptive about what they actually saw overhead, but they would see lights. But there was a. I think you touched on it a little bit earlier. There's accounts that there was a shape shifting shaman.
Hmm.
That was a an indigenous American Wendigo story of a shapeshifter, which
Yeah.
um it's completely different, and a lot of like the Wendigo is usually not like a wolf man, right? As long as I'm,
I mean,
but there is accounts that sometimes it is a wolf, like with where, and that's one thing I wanted to say is like every every country. and every time period has some sort of like man, dog, wolf, like shape-shifting story. Like you pick a
Yeah,
continent, and I'll tell you a story that I've read that there's like something where a man turns in some kind of werewolf dog thing,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, and
I mean,
the shapeshifter um lore stems from specifically Navajo, from my understanding.
oh, okay, yeah.
And so when but they don't share a lot about it, and there's actually the conspiracy is that Navajo don't share a lot about it on purpose.
Hmm.
So take that as you will.
Yeah, we still later to at later date we will do a Wendigo episode, but that is not what we're going to talk about right now.
Yeah.
Um, so they think this thing, or all the accounts say that it was like wolf-like entity,
Oh,
7 feet tall.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there was one of the accounts said that this dude said that his livestock, he would go see his livestock carcasses,
Mm.
and he called it a loop guru, uh, which when I saw that, I was like, man, uh, so there was also like, there was that account that you said where there's the people in the bus.
Mhm.
I've read a bunch of accounts where they say the girl was in the tree, and then they were saying like, well, dogs don't take their prey to a tree, but like
Oh,
5 years
geez.
later, there's an account about a 17-year-old girl. Um, uh, that's what I was saying earlier, that like they saw something outside, and then they ran inside, and it was her and her younger sister, and
Hmm.
then there was a window that was broken, but they said they saw some kind of dog man thing. There was also an account of a guy on a dirt bike, like a very young, like teenage guy, and he said this like wolf dog thing came up and was trying to attack him. I also I think I've said this before, that before our videos, like I always forget to I've been wanting to do this, like where I would just like do YouTube, like a YouTube dive where I would see if there was like videos of this, and
Yeah.
oh man, that was weird. I finally remembered to do it. And I mean, we all know that YouTube is a vast like vessel of just randomness.
Oh, it's everything now. I mean, from
Right.
when it started to now is mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling. Yeah, of course. Like, so one of the first things I'm going to talk about is like, so it, one of the channels I saw, it was just talking about dogmen sightings in recent history in that area, and there's like this deer video where there's
Mm.
like these two deer, and it's like, it looks like a it's not a game camera, because it's like in color, and game cameras are usually in black and white, and it's in the
Hmm.
daytime.
Yeah.
And at first I'm watching this video, and I'm like, well, I'm not a deer hunter. I've been hunting for deer. I've actually never been able to shoot a deer.
Oh,
And the
welcome to the
reason,
club.
yeah, and the reason I bring this up is like deer are one of the hardest things to shoot because they can smell you, and deer hear everything, like
Hmm.
literally everything. They're so they and when they hear you, like they jump and they run so fast. It's like ridiculous how like evasive these creatures are, with rightfully so. But
You're just
in this
loud,
video,
David. You're just a loud person.
yeah, I'm super okay when I'm hunting. By the way, Josh, I was duck hunting last week for the alleged duck man. No, just joking. I was hunting for ducks, and I caught and
You're
I
looking
shot
for
one.
Howard? You're looking for Howard?
Oh God, what a terrible movie.
Whatever, dude. Strike up another one.
Actually, when
Oh
I
my
was a kid,
gosh, man.
off the
Hey,
subject,
this guy does
like
not
that.
like his 80s movies.
No,
Just give
I'm
it
not
up.
even joking. Actually, I'm kidding. Like when I was a kid, like I thought that movie was so awesome. Actually, isn't
I
it like
had
a
the trading
Marvel
cards.
comic
I love
too?
that movie.
Think it's a
I
Marvel
still have
comic,
it.
actually. You'd have to fact check me, but I think it's Marvel Comics.
Yeah. No,
Anyway,
well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it is
but
now.
anyway, in this
Anyway.
deer video, there's these two deer, and all of a sudden, like they look over, and there's like this. I'm not even joking. There's like this weird statue, like it's like it looks like a bronze statue in the corner, around a bunch of grass, and it just appears, and like the I'm not joking. This is not me saying this. I know you always say that I say this, but like in a bunch of the videos I watched, they're like, oh, it came out of a portal, and I was like, oh, that's funny. Yeah, so they're like, oh, this weird bronze like humanoid statue came out of this portal, and then they said,
What?
and then in the video, like there's a lot of people talking, but like they say that there's like this like dogman thing behind it. I was like, eh, you're reaching, because like all these
What?
videos that I see of like you have to look really close. Like I don't see anything. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah.
Another one I watched, like I watched this like super fake looking Kentucky um video that somebody posted. I was like, I hate it. I hate it when people post those things, because like I mean, with our background, what we know about film, like I can spot when something's fake pretty quickly, like we
Oh,
said in the last episode.
yeah. Like even in new movies, I'm
But I was
have a
gonna
hard time.
say, before I forget, I'll get more into this later. But like the Beast of Bray Road was mentioned a lot, actually.
Hmm.
And there people were like, well, if you want to go hear more about this, like go check that out.
Yeah.
They, there's a lot of people that call it the Beast of LBL. Um,
Yeah. Right between the lakes. Yeah.
uh, there was another video where it's called like the rain video. I know that sounds really stupid, but it's like a shadow figure that looks like this dog running down like uh almost like the side of a street, with a bunch and it's raining, and it is it's I'll give it that one's more convincing. You can like search. I think it's called like rain video shadow figure. It's like really stupid, the name of it, but the more I looked into this, man, like um and the one thing, oh yeah, let me get into this. So here's the problem that I ran into this. Like I didn't know this. Maybe you don't know this. I would like to hear from our listeners, but um an upright wolf, rather than processing, okay, so there's a difference between a dog man and a wolf man. A dog man, yeah, do you know about this? Like, so
Yeah.
this one was more humanoid, so they thought it
Hmm.
was like a um
Well,
yeah, it was like a humanoid dog, and as opposed to a wolf cryptid.
so a wolf would be so this will transition to what I was going to bring up here now, but um so a dog man would be like a cryptid, like you're always a dog man, and a wolf man would be a shapeshifter. So
Okay, yeah, that's way better than I was going to describe, because I
yeah,
read it, I was like, what? What
yeah,
does that even mean? That makes way more sense. Yeah.
yeah. So my question is, and this has came up in some of the things I've been reading as well, was is because a shapeshifter would be something more supernatural, I guess. You know, that's that. I mean, from perspective from somebody looking at this is like, oh, a human turning into a werewolf, that would be supernatural. Would that be considered a cryptid? Would a
Hmm.
werewolf actually be a cryptid or even a shapeshifter? I mean, because a werewolf would, by definition, be a shapeshifter, hands down, easily, right? And I'm not talking like Twilight stuff. I'm talking about
Right.
this is like,
And like there was when I researched this, and the reason I brought that in is like people wanted to say that there's definitely a difference between a dog man and a werewolf, and I was like, that sounds like the
yeah,
same thing in my mind, but
well,
there's
yeah,
definitely a difference.
because a dog man would be something that's uh, a creature that is dog but man-like. Wolf man would be a shapeshifter, either human or a human person that turns into this or shapeshifts. Whether it be like somebody that doesn't know it and just does it when the full moon happens, oh, or if it's a shaman from the Navajo Nation, you know.
And I know we've talked about it with the Beast of Bray Road, and then I think in that episode we talked about how there's the Michigan Dog Man. And
Yep.
when I was researching this, like a lot of people brought that up. We haven't touched on the Michigan Dog Man. I haven't read too much on it, but like,
No, it's been brought up, But
Yeah. But
and
yeah,
what we haven't brought up, and I'll do it for my folks in Louisiana, because if anybody from Louisiana is listening, I will bring up the Rougarou, which is also another.
oh, okay, that's what I was saying earlier
Yeah.
that those settlers called it that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that was that's another one. That's a really good one. That's a legit werewolf story um to talk about. So hey, shout out to the fans of the Rougarou, because I just want to make sure I said that word because it's fun to say.
So, Josh, I'm not gonna throw this out there because usually I ask you a question that you didn't know I was gonna ask you, but I'm not gonna do that this episode, by
Oh,
the way.
good. My heart is happy
Yeah, but I am gonna say,
and my brain.
um, I did want to just throw this out there. I touched on it earlier, like but there's so many stories between a hellhound, a werewolf, a dogman. There's
Hmm.
so many like canine story
Yeah,
between in America, between the indigenous Americans, between the in Europe, in the UK, between in Ireland and Scotland, the lichens, which comes out of actually Greece. If you look in the old ancient, I think it's Greece or Roman, I can't remember. I think it's Greek. Um, I always get Greek and
you
Roman
got me
mixed
there
up.
on the history stuff,
Yeah,
bro.
it's either Greek or I'm pretty sure it's Greek, but anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, my point is like there's always like some kind of weird shape shifting story
Hmm.
about a canine and a human, whether it's like you were saying, like a werewolf or a cryptid that's actually like a like half man, half dog uh thing. What do I think this actually is? That's what I wanted to ask. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know, man, because there's a lot of like stories about those people that died. I don't want to get into that because like I don't know if they died or not, and it's not my
yeah. And
business.
it's yeah. No, I hear that.
However, um, do I think there's probably a possibility like let's say like there's definitely a possibility that there is some sort of wolf and or giant or big coyote that is
Mm-hmm.
rabid. I mean,
Hmm.
in that area, I don't know. I've never like I don't live there, and I've never like I've only been to Tennessee, like I said earlier. But there could be like a wolf that was rabid.
Yeah.
Like if
Well,
you just want to get
but is
into
it a 7 foot tall wolf?
no, no. And again, there was like the shadow figures. Like there's lot of. I mean, and people like I looked into that too, and like people believe this there, like they do. Which is
Yeah,
another thing. Like I always like to see like in a local lore, like do people actually believe this? And they do.
yeah.
Which is crazy that I never heard about
Well,
this.
it goes back to the leprechaun episode. How many people in Ireland believe in leprechauns? It's a
Right? Yeah.
ginormous amount.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know.
Which yeah, it's wild. I don't know, man. I don't I would have to
Well,
see more convincing videos. The
yeah.
videos I saw, like I don't
You
know.
convince me, and we convince each other that I actually don't want to camp there now.
No, yeah, it's wild. Why like I said, like I don't want to get killed while I'm just fishing, bro.
Yeah,
Like that's
you know, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Like I'm a little weary about standing next, like because it has been getting really hot in Texas, and I'm a little wary about bodies of water with alligators up here now.
oh, and by the way,
It's like,
um
ooh, like
before
living in
we end
Florida
this,
again.
I wanted to say, you asked me about this I told you I was gonna watch this documentary. I'm gonna
Hmm.
throw this out there. I went to go look at that documentary because I looked online, they're like, "Oh, go watch this documentary on Amazon Prime." And I went to Amazon Prime and it was like pay 3.99. Listen, man. Listen to this. In this world of streaming now, if your documentary charges me $4, I'm not watching it. I know that sounds really petty, but with how many streaming services
Yep.
we all have to buy and I have to pay for it, and it's a documentary. I'm not talking about a TV show. I'm not talking about a movie. And I get that documentaries might be self-funded, but I'm not doing that. I'm never
Yeah.
going to do that. And I don't know anybody that is.
Well, it's because
So
Amazon's
if
not
you
paying them enough. That's just what it is.
but maybe throw it out there so you get fun. I don't know. I just know I'm not paying $4 when I could just like Google it or YouTube it. Like I was like, come on, bro.
You
Like
could probably
why
find it on Tubi or something else. You know, you never know.
I mean, bro, Tubi is actually like rising above
Tubi's
all.
legit.
Yeah, like Tubi's
They
got some
yeah,
real stuff, man.
yeah.
Like
Oh yeah,
real stuff.
absolutely.
Well, well, Josh,
Well,
this was a crazy episode. It was a real episode. Like people really died, or they didn't. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. But why don't you close this out?
yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to research more on the beast of the land of, between the land of the lakes, I do have some resources for that. So there's actually a book that's been written called The Beast of LBL by Barton M. No, Nunnally. Barton M. Nunnally. So that looks into the folklore, eyewitness accounts, and everything else. That's a book you can find probably on Amazon. I don't know. I didn't check. But anyway, there's also movies and documentaries on this. The Dogman Territory, Werewolves in the Land Between the Lakes. Not sure if that's the one you watched or not. And there's also the Hunt the Dogman documentary directed by Bart Nunnally again. And there's also a TV show, Monsters and Mysteries in America. I've only found one, so there's a lot of people that don't know about this story, which is interesting, considering the nature of it being as how many eyewitnesses and detailed events there are. How this feels like something that's been kind of covered up. Anyway, but yes, this is another great, interesting cryptid story, David, and I thank you um, for that. But let's just say if you do like our episodes, you do like our shows, you can find us on Spotify. Please like, comment, share with your friends. Also, Amazon Music. I'm sorry, what is it now? Apple Podcasts? Yeah, that's what it is. iHeart Music Podcasts. And you can just Google search us, find us wherever, and just like and share, comment on our shows. We'd love to hear from you. And if you, especially if you enjoyed this episode or anything in the past, we really appreciate your support. So thank you. Thank you for talking about the Land of Lakes with me tonight, David. And happy Halloween, even though we're past it now.
Josh, you're awesome. Later.
Later.